Hey guys, it's Chris. So this is going to be my Walking Dead Season 6 Episode 2 review. And right up front, let me just say that I love this episode. I think it was action-packed. It set some things in motion we were expecting to come. And I actually liked it better than the premiere. But when it first started, I'm sure we were all the same. Like, what the hell does JSS stand for? I mean, just stay safe? Just say shit? But we did get that answer before the episode ended. So this episode really centered around Enid and Carol, I would say. But first it opened up with the flashbacks of Enid and her family before she got to Alexandria. And it showed basically her with her parents in some car. And they were trying to start the car. There were walkers coming, but they ignored the walkers and tried to start the car by hot wiring it, changing oil, whatever the hell was going on. And ignored the walkers. And in the next scene it shows her sitting in the window as she watches a walker eat her mom and dad. So basically it goes through a couple more scenes of her kind of surviving on her own, eating turtles, and reminding herself with some new defense mechanism to write JSS on everything she sees, including making a JSS out of turtle bones. Anyway, we're all scratching our heads wondering what the hell that meant. At first I thought that perhaps it was something like, just stay safe or something like that. But then I was thinking, well, this could be some kind of marker for somebody to track her. I'm not sure. Then we flash to Carol in the kitchen, and she's talking to these ladies about baking and cooking and basically just trying to be their friend because she knows they're naive as far as how the world works now. They're talking about being chefs, and Carol's like saying, look, I can show you how to cook, but this is not the most important thing in the world right now is having these gourmet dinners. I really like her arc right now. I think it's really good. It showed her coming out of the kitchen, talking to Sam, the little kid whose dad was killed by Rick, and saying, look, punk, get the fuck over it. Go do something productive. Then we see a scene of Ron and Jesse talking in the kitchen, and they're talking about Rick. Ron still being a little asshole teenager who just don't understand why Rick killed somebody, specifically his father, and I can understand him being a little resentment there. But then we go to a scene with Maggie and Deanna talking, and Deanna's still heartbroken over her husband, which she should be, but it's just showing more and more that these people really had no clue what was going on in the world around them. Then we have a little scene between Eugene and Tara. Tara seems to be up and walking around again. They meet the new doctor lady who was not really a doctor, but she was going to be. She went to medical school, apparently didn't finish. She was going to be a surgeon, but ended up being like a psychiatrist, I believe. I guess developing her character just a little bit. I'm assuming she'll be around a while, at least a couple episodes. Then we have a scene where Carl's pushing Judith, and he sees that Enid is talking to some dude, and he's getting a little bit jealous, because Carl's at that age, he wants to get his little carrot wet. And then it flashes back to Carol now back in her kitchen, and she's about to bake something, which seems to be a motif since they got in Alexandria, is her cooking for everybody. She looks out her window at the neighbor that she had told to stop smoking because it kills her and there are enough things trying to kill her. And then she sees a guy kill the girl with an axe. And that's when the wolves attack. So the wolves finally attack Alexandria. We all expected this to happen, but we didn't really know when. We thought it was coming soon. But, I thought they had guns, but they didn't have guns. They just had blunt weapons and axes and things like that. Now, they killed quite a few people, and these motherfuckers are crazy. They're not just killing people they want them to turn, so they're cutting people up with axes and shit. I mean, this is Texas Chainsaw Massacre shit here. On one hand, they were killing people by chopping them up into pieces, and they looked like they were enjoying it, and on the other hand, they were leading people out with chains as if to take a few hostages. That makes me think that this was some kind of initiation, because I think there's a bigger group out there with a leader, possibly Negan. Enid comes in the house with Carl while they're protecting Judith. Carl's sitting there with the AR-15, and he's ready to take out some wolf bastards. And then we see what caused the horn last week. So we all had this speculation in my last video about, was it the wolves, was it Gabriel because he had got shut down as far as the mission goes to lead the zombie horde away, was it Enid because she had perhaps been out there in contact with the wolves. But it was, as I suspected, it was the wolves, them crashing a truck into the gates, trying to take down the gate in their watchtower. And as the truck crashed, it caused the horn to get stuck. And speaking of Gabriel, he actually turned around on this one, asking Carl for help as far as training, wanting to learn weapons apparently, which tells me that Gabriel's not going to last very long, because once they turn around and get the picture, just like last week, they seem to die relatively quickly. And then, of course, my favorite stuff in this episode was Morgan and Carol. Carol is a badass. She put on her ninja shit. She fucking put on the disguise of the wolves, even remembering to put the W on her forehead. She walks around, she gets to the armory, she's capping motherfuckers. Where Morgan's walking around playing Ninja Turtle with his bow staff, with his bow skills.
Like nunchuck skills, bow hunting skills, computer hacking skills, Girls only want boyfriends who have great skills.
He's taking out people left and right, but he doesn't want to kill them. He still has this issue with killing people. So Morgan and Carol actually have a small argument about, hey, you don't have to kill people. And Carol's like, yes, you fucking do. You got to kill people. If they're in your way, if they're a problem, kill them. And that seems to be Carol's new mantra. She has gone full Shane or Rick or what have you as far as fuck everybody. If they're in your way, if they're a problem, kill them. Don't take a chance on them. So that's kind of what I'm liking about Carol's story arc. Then we see the girl who actually tried to operate on this other girl that was injured. She failed to save her. She did die, but at least she got through the operation and tried to save her. So I think that kind of developed her a little bit as far as a character. We see Carl shoot a wolf bastard and save Ron from being chopped into pieces basically. And Ron still runs off like a little asshole even though Carl saved him because he's still mad at Rick being his dad. Then we see Jesse and Sam in the house and a wolf dude comes in and they go hide in the closet for a couple minutes. Then she hears Ron coming in. She runs out, ends up being a wolf lady. They get in a fight in the kitchen. She ends up stabbing her with some scissors and kind of losing her shit for a minute because she didn't just stab her once. She stabbed her about 47 times. And then one more time just to be safe. Then we see kind of the aftermath starting to happen. They're kind of getting control of the situation since they do have guns. Carol's killed a lot of them. She reaches the armory, passes out guns to Gabriel and Morgan, where Gabriel says, I'm not very good with guns. And Morgan says, I'm not either. And that was a shout out to the previous season where Rick ran into Morgan in his little hometown, his little neighborhood, where he had lost his son and lost his wife and would not shoot her even though she was a walker turned outside of his door. And then Morgan ties this dude up. I guess he didn't want to get some information out of him, being under the impression that they don't need to kill anybody. They can kind of talk these guys out of being bad guys. And Carol comes out and pops him in the fucking head. And I thought that was a fucking great scene. Bang! You know, she just comes out, shoots him in the head, hands him the guns, walks off, and keeps going about her business. Then we have a scene where Morgan scares off a group of guys with his bow staff, with his mad bow skills again, and basically tries to talk them down and say, you know, if you pick this life, you're going to die. And then we flash over to Carol where she's sitting on the porch, what seems to be in the aftermath, and she picks up the pack of cigarettes that she told the lady not to smoke and starts kind of crying. And then we see in one of the last scenes Morgan getting a fight with the guy that he saw last season he ran into when he was tracking Rick. They get in a fight. Morgan gets his ass whipped a little bit, and this one gets his bow back and ends up, I think, killing the dude because he apologizes. He says, I'm sorry, and then whack, and it fades to black, and apparently he learns that, you know what, I can't mess around. I can't talk him out of it. He's not going to change. I've seen this guy before. I'm just going to have to kill the motherfucker. You see kind of him get on the same path with Carol there. So all in all, I really love this episode. It was action-packed. It told some stories. It developed a few more characters. We got rid of a lot of characters too, kind of the extras that were part of the town. The only part I have a question about, and I'm sure they'll address that next week, is, you know, they all heard the horn at the same time last week. How was it that Morgan was the only one that showed up to help out, and where were Rick and all them? They should have been running, I'd imagine, immediately back to Alexandria. Perhaps they have some kind of plan to try to stop the horde from going towards Alexandria, and they went ahead and sent Morgan ahead to find out what was going on. And by the way, I almost forgot to mention, Enid finally reveals what JSS means. One of the last scenes with Carl, she had left a note, and it said simply, just survive somehow. So I was close. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. How was the episode for you? My question for you guys is what are we going to see next week? Are we going to see, you know, the walkers get to Alexandria, or do you think they'll have a plan to somehow keep them from getting on the gates of Alexandria? They know by Aaron.
Where is Aaron right now?
Who found the pictures on one of the wolf guys. They've been scoped out, so I think that's far from over. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I have a lot more videos coming. In the meantime, you can click here on the last video I did on Game of Thrones, A Song of Ice and Fire, on how the Starks got their warging ability for you Ice and Fire nerds. And you can also click here for the last video I did on Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, and how I think the movie's going to basically go based off some plot leaks and that type of thing. So check those out. Let me know what you think. Thanks again, you guys. I appreciate all the support. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.